Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to some of you, and peace out to the rest of you. Hit the share button because the message is more important than the messenger. First, let me give a shout out to C. Burke for coming through on the Cash App, and that was very generous of you. I mean that from the bottom of my black heart and from the depths of my black mind. You know that was generous. With that being said, I open this up to go a bit more in depth about why I've been telling us to not go to the table. Now, one reason doesn't really take much to explain, so I'll save it for last. The other one might take a bit more. I've said it before, but I'll give you a bit more detail about how I know. In a nutshell, what I'm saying is the same thing, the accountability reach back. I'm sorry, the accountability commentary. I'm sorry about messing your name up. I'm talking faster. Well, I'm thinking faster than I can talk. Accountability commentary. I said, don't accept the reach back. It is very important that you do exactly that. You reject the reach back every time. This is important. I tell you this because when it comes down to the reach back, it is insulting as hell. And everybody knows that. Now, we as black men have been raised oftentimes not only by single moms, but we have oftentimes, actually many times, we've been raised by even married and coupled up moms with a single mom mindset, a matriarchal mindset. And we've oftentimes been raised by moms who told dads what not to tell us. And dads knew that they would lose us if mom got mad enough at them for telling us exactly what the walk they didn't want dad to tell us. If dad was allowed to know himself. So, to make a long story short, we were also raised by the single mother church. We were raised by the African American church, run indirectly by the gynocracy through the pastor. And they would teach forgiveness upon forgiveness upon forgiveness, and even forgetting. Forgiveness as if you forget, so that in a nutshell, while it's okay for the woman to have boundaries if you even marry a second wife, it is not okay for you to quit that woman out of vengeance when she's out there creeping on you and sleeping on you, because after all, every time you sin, you're doing the same thing to Jesus. And don't you want him to forgive you? And they say, how dare you seek this from Jesus? And I'm not saying this to make a mockery of the Messiah, alayhi salam, not at all. But I am definitely going to mock control their idea and their misdepiction of him. It is just like what the Europeans have done to him. They suggest to you subliminally, how dare you seek this redemption through Jesus from your sins, and then you can't tolerate when she sins against you. But then would be quick to tell you that you ain't God for them to sin against. The single mother church has also been a major problem, and that is another reason that I say to you cannot go to the table. You see, because it teaches an endless blood redemption or endless forgiveness in order to get blood redemption, which they don't have to have. You have to deal with consequences and accountability. They are doing this so as to set up exactly what they now have, and it's not working for them, but they're still setting it up. And that is polyandry, but no polygyny. A buck breeding plantation sustained not only by the breeding of the few that are the bucks, but also more so sustained by the labor of those that are not. And that's the bulk of us. You don't go to sit down and negotiate with somebody that wants to do that. Because of this doctrine, this theology, it has led to a principle by which many of us, especially those of us with a heavy matriarchal influence, will practice, which is Nui TL, not until it's too late. We will do all the good in the world, but not until it's too late. We will grow up, but not until it's too late. And that's why we don't do a lot of good and why many of us don't grow up. You see a lot of people that just don't get things together with us because they're going to get it together, but not until it's too late. OWITL is also another acronym, only when it's too late. My students struggle with this as Arabs that are not even Bedouins, but as Gulf Arab males who live in a Bedouin-run country. They struggle with this. Their priorities are backwards. They don't make changes. They don't want to hear that they have to completely overhaul something, especially if it got them through high school. They think that because they understand English and I can understand them, that their English is good enough to go into engineering and it is good enough to pass. The curriculum demands that they learn how to write 5-paragraph essays correctly by the time they graduate. They're not on track to that. I just got through marking their first 5-paragraph essay. This is after weeks of giving them 4-paragraph essays. And before that, just paragraphs. They were screwing up. They were ucking fup. I told them multiple times, stop writing without punctuating. That's the first thing, you backwards Bedouin. And they would literally write, okay, no punctuation. I would have to say to them, hey, what the hell did I just tell you? And look what you just did. Look how you responded to what I just told you. I am sorry, doctor, what wrong? No punctuation, not even a question mark. Cuss word. It took one of the students to start roasting the other ones for this. Hassan. This is not a joke. It's not something funny. Yeah, it was bad, man. Hassan, he roasted them because he watches hood movies, so he really roasted them. In English, slang and formal. That helped. They started to punctuate more. I would have to tell them, you know you're supposed to use capital letters in the beginnings of sentences, don't you? You learned that in elementary and middle school and high school. Dummy, do it now. They would write in, I'm so sorry, doctor, I forgot. No punctuation, lowercase I. Father Mucker, what? Now we're at a stage, because we're nearing the end of the semester, we're at a stage in which they need to be writing 5-paragraph essays correctly. They're still not doing it. They can put together a few sentences correctly. They still have certain errors. But the point I'm making is that now some of them are beginning to walk up to me and say, well, doctor, I need, hey, how about you close your damn mouth? Fuck the shuck up. Listen. They come and ask me dumb things like, my attendance. I don't fivaguk about your attendance. If you got the percentage that they said is failing, you just failed. I'm not forgiving a damn thing. It's not even up to me to do. You should have been here. I told you that. They come to me and they ask me things about what they can do to replace bad grades, but without changing their English. And I say to them, well, first off, the way you came and asked me that in English has mistakes in it. Start fixing these mistakes. I told you that weeks ago. I told you that at the beginning. They come and they say, well, if my English is not good enough for the exams, what do I need to do? And I say to them, well, see, the first few weeks I told you, bring a notebook and a pen to class, not just a tablet, but a notebook and a pen with which you can write. Now, some tablets have notebooks on which you can take a pen and write by hand, which is roughly the same thing, and it'll save it for you. And I'm fine with that. I accepted that. But I told them you need something that you can write with by hand, not just type. You write down mistakes and then you write the corrections as I showed them to you so that you can study them and practice the corrections and not the mistakes. You didn't do that. How many times did I say, where's your notebook? I wrote it in my head, doctor. Oh, God. Now that it is too late, some of them are coming and asking me. And as a matter of fact, today one of them came and did this, and he did this after my office hours were over. I was just about to go eat. This fella mucker shows up, doctor, and he talks slow. So I told him, look, this is what's going to happen, Knucklehead. You're going to sign a statement for me that I taught and I explained every day that you were present, and that there were many days you were not present. And you're going to sign that I told the class certain things. And that if you do fail, the liability is yours, and it is not PMU's, and it is not mine. And this kid said to me, this isn't a Bedouin town. It's not the same here. You won't need that. Yes, I will. You're going to sign this or I'm going to drop you from the class because I can. You have enough absences and a low enough grade on the last essay to where I can justify dropping you because you're not on the road to pass. So since you want me to not drop you, you're saying you want to stay in and fail. Therefore, Knucklehead, go ahead and sign that statement or I'm going to move to drop your unky fast. He only showed up when it's too late. Another student today, I said to the class, some of you are doing dumb things like interrupting English lessons to ask me about your attendance. F your attendance. If you have an excuse for it and they email me, I will deal with the email when I'm done with the class. And I will change the attendance record because they gave me permission. But you're not going to interrupt the English lesson to ask me about your attendance. 30 seconds later, Sideburn, that's his name, raised his hand. Did you get an email about my absence excuse? So I marked him absent again. The students were laughing at him. They don't care about their mistakes until it is too late. And that is their reach back. They start showing up late in the game when we're supposed to be getting ready for vacations and things. They start showing up late in the game, delaying our office hours, delaying us from doing other things we need to do with tight time schedules. When it's too late, that's their reach back. Now that they upped up, they want to sit in my office and ask me to individually tell them what they need to fix. No, Ninja, I done this for the whole class already. I did it in class. What you playing about? Welcome to university. Got 27 of y'all. Got 28 of y'all. Other universities, I've had 33 of y'all in one class. You think I can afford this? So yeah, it's bad. It is for this same reason that I tell you don't accept them going to a table and sitting and waiting to see, waiting for you to show up so they can tell you what they want to tell you. BGS and I have actually agreed on several key points. We have agreed that if you sit at the table, you will hear what they want to tell you, and that we probably will not be able to save the black family. He and I have agreed. I simply say to you, don't go to the table. In this case, I'm saying don't go because I already know it must not be worth listening to what they have to say. Now, in 2017, I would have said differently. But 2018, I was not sure. I knew I was learning and listening. In 2019, early 2019, I was done. I was through listening to what they had to say. I didn't want to hear it. I said, this is too gam lucking fate. You should have done this a while back. But I knew back then that sisters were pressuring each other to not be willing to come to the table as good negotiators and in good faith. So since I knew back then, I said, that's it. That means their whole social pressure and social system and social approval is based on negativity. F them and their culture, because I had already said this to the Bedouins. I said previously to the Bedouins that what we're going to have to do is we're just going to, especially those of us that are Muslims not from here, and especially those of us that are black from anywhere, we're going to have to look at the culture and say F the culture and F their sensitivities. We're not playing games with them. So when we were locked in for COVID and the students had to go to classes online and we had to teach and we had to be logged in, we said to the students, you must be here. You don't just log in. You got to be here and you got to be respondent and present. If we say something, we write to you or speak to you, and you don't reply to either one, you are faking it. You are fraudulently logging in and leaving. That means you're not only absent, but you're a fraud. And we're going to mark you as such. And they all complained, but they were always getting caught not actually being there. They would not respond until it was too late. I called some of them by voice. Then I'd write their names in the chat and I would say, hey, listen, are you going to answer this one or not? Nothing. Click, throw them out. They're absent. Kick them out anyway. Start getting messages on the Telegram. Doctor, I am swear I in class. Why you kick me out? No punctuation again. No capitalization either. Not until it was too late. A lot of times they were sleeping. And it would be the silence coming from their laptops that would wake them up. Because they'd been kicked out of the class, then they would realize, oh, so the sound of you calling their name did not wake them up. But the silence, when after they'd been expelled from the class, would wake them up. Not until it was too late would they care. I would tell some of them, you know what? Yeah, I kicked you out. And if you run to the administration and complain about it and they side with you, I'll embarrass them in front of the entire nation for this. Names, dates, timestamps, your name, your father's name, because it's a part of your name, and your family name. Don't do this. You take that L. You got caught. You take your lick, or a bunch of others are going to take licks with you for siding with you. Don't you ever do this. Foreign professors would come and say, well, you know, Mr. Black, the way things are here. And I had to start saying to them, F the way things are here. Well, it's their country and we're foreigners. Yeah, F their country then. No, it's our country now. We're working. They're being lazy. And the people from this country that are working are sick and tired of suffering because of the lazy compatriots they have. So for the sake of the honest people from this country, if you want to say it's their country, we're going to do our jobs and we're going to be honest. And when they up and we catch them and we keep it. They would begin to care when it was too late. There were students whose fathers told him, if you fail, I will beat the hell out of you. Towards the end, now they care because their dad's going to beat them. Please, my dad's going to beat me. I don't feel good. Matter of fact, I hope he does. Ask him to call me so I can witness him do it. I'm a cold-blooded mother cuss word. I want you to learn this lesson. I didn't feed you, so I'm not going to beat you. But your father fed you. He changed your diapers. He has the right to beat you. And I want to see it because you won't learn any other way. No negotiations. That is when some of them start to get their minds right, and they might hate you when they're getting that butt whipping from their father. But if they see you years later and they turn their lives around, they'll say, you know what? I earned that. Sometimes you might see them years later and their clothes are dirty because they got nothing going on in life, and now maybe they're drug addicts and they still hate you. I hate you. Look what you did to me. Look what I did to you. Look what you did to yourself. Either way it goes, the reach back is too late, and you know not to go and sit down and negotiate with them. So this is what winds up happening. It is the same thing with Keisha. She did not do this at a time when many of us would have been willing to listen. They waited until they knew we were no longer willing to listen and the economy was bad, just like BGS predicted. And that's why I say to you, don't go to the table. And that's the first reason. It's because it's just a part of not accepting the reach back. You don't accept the reach back. Well, many of us have said if they don't want us in their prime, they can't have us in their decline. And that's fair. Guess what? This is their collective decline. Past their collective prime. And this is their collective reach back to us. No, shuck that fit. Now, I'm going to tell you the second reason that I've told you not to go to the table. They're not sitting at the right table in the first mother cuss word place. I did say before that the table is not even in the West. That's the wrong table. That's Massa's table. That's Zaddy's table. They set up the legal system and framework and context in which Boom Shika wilded the Uck Fout and in which Becky and Amber started wilding the Uck Fout on Zaddy. Wrong table, wrong location. That's not the table. The proper location for the table is wherever the hell you go where the other women are treating you better. That's the damn table. If they're not going to meet you at that table, in other words, you're the table. While they said, I am the table. I don't bring nothing to the table because I'm the table already. The truth was you and I have always been the table from jump. We've been the prize. We've been the table. That's what I'm getting at. And I would say this even to my young daughters while they are young. I would tell them this about the young guys that don't have money. I would say this to them, and it is not because I don't love my daughters. I would say this to them because I do love them. I wouldn't tell them just any man. I would say to them, just like good women are a prize and bad women are a liability, as you already know, good men are a prize and bad men are a liability, but good men are a prize. And you have to get that prize when they are young and before they get a whole lot. If you're looking at just how much they own to determine that they're a prize, they're going to see that and you're not going to get a prize. You're just going to get a trophy. No rewards. And that trophy isn't going to get dull after a while. But if you pick them based on the things that actually matter, then you can wind up with a prize. And if you did not in that situation, I certainly wouldn't blame you. I'm telling you, you're the table. The table is where you are, unless you're in the West. And that's only because they've set it up that way. The proper location for the table is Colombia, Brazil, Southeast Asia, the still traditional parts of our home continent. Exactly the places where they don't want to live, where the women treat you exactly the way they've been embarrassed to treat you, even if they wanted you, are the proper locations of the mucking table. As a matter of fact, the table is not even, the proper locations are not even in the major cities with the international airports at which we land and through which we go through passport control. No, those are not. The major ports of entry are not even the proper locations for the table in the right countries. No, the villages are. Where the women act exactly the way that Westanisha rolled her neck and rolled her eyes and swore to God she was never going to behave. That's what a table is. They're already following you for the wrong reasons until the day they follow you to go live at the village and sit at the feet of those women they've been calling dirty feet and dusty and broken, uneducated and poor and victims, and learn from them. They're not sitting at the right table. The first table at which they must sit is at the feet of these women they've called dirty feet to learn exactly how to be just like them. I hope that what I've said benefits. Thank you so much for listening. And as always, black heart, black mind, blackout, assalamu alaikum, black heterosexual, non-select male power just because they don't like it, black patriarchy until extinction of judgment day. Again, thanks to C. Burke. And thank you all for flying on Jet Black Airways, where jet black is also a verb. Keep jetting black with me till the wings and the wheels fall off. Gender, justice, forever.